Rotator cuff shoulder pain. So rotator cuff related shoulder pain. Is that a thing for perimenopausal and menopausal women under over 40? I would say so. If you're experiencing things like stiffness, tightness, a limited range of movement, weakness, frozen shoulder, poor posture, could be a sign that you have a rotator cuff related shoulder pain. And as estrogen levels start to fall, it affects all the muscles and joints in the body. And the shoulder complex always reminds me of a marching band. But if one bit starts to play out of tune, the whole thing goes. And so when you're maybe trying to improve, maybe lifting some weights in the gym, nothing's budging because these small muscles that support the bigger complex are out. And air out, they cause impingements elsewhere because the glenohumeral joint is very, it's so shallow. It's a really shallow joint, and if there are things at play and forces at play that affect the shoulder, then you know, like estrogen levels, that sort of thing. You all feel it in your shoulders as well. If you sit at a desk, so if you sit at a desk at your work, you know, you're here or you're on your phone a lot, what actually happens is you get a type of syndrome where your chest muscles start to tighten and the upper thoracic back, that starts to lengthen and weaken. So your posture ends up like this. And if you're not doing anything to retract it back, or even trying to ease and floss the shoulder to keep it functioning well, then you're going to run into trouble. And if your estrogen levels are declining, they're going to play a part in that as well. I ended up injured quite a few times. My shoulders are, you know, good. I've got the odd wee bits of stiffness that I've had for years and years through wear and tear, but on the whole, they're nice and strong and they move well because I do work on them and I want my marching band to work in unison as much as I can. So I do lots and lots of exercises that improve my shoulder complex. Things like even just flexion of the shoulder where we're coming up and down, you know, just up and down. You know, these we're just sliding the scapula down, they're just nice for self-care. Lovely. If I'm teaching a class, I'll maybe just round it. We'll just start with small movements through the shoulder, just retracting it back. I mean, it can be slow, there might be a medium speed. So just one way, and then we just start to rotate, you know, in the opposite direction. And one thing I use in my Pilates classes is a TheraBand. And I love a TheraBand. Usually you can see them, you know, for like rehab and that, but I take them along to the Pilates classes because they are really popular. You can use them for so many different things. You can get loads and loads of different exercises from them. So even adding that little bit of support and resistance at the same time. And if you think about in Pilates, we've got these 4 arches, the arches of the feet for being good contact with the floor, centering, keeps that functional part of the core nice and strong, the diaphragm, and actually the roof of the mouth. And we can always just check that by just putting our tongue into the roof of our mouth, and that just automatically lifts a little more. And it's ideal conditions to start to just work the shoulder without any weight. If you've got something like a piece of TheraBand, this is probably the lightest one that you could use. So nice exercises can be just a wee stretch at the end of the day. Nothing has to be difficult. You know, just a wee stretch. Stopping where you get stuck, that's what I always say. Go to your own range of movement, and if it is compromised because of these declining estrogen levels, you might find that the range of movement isn't as good some days as it could be some. And then other days you might be able to take the band all the way over and back and just working into the shoulders. Nice big stretch. You want to try and take the shoulder joint through all its planes of movement. So we could take the band up and then a little tilt to the side and then just drawing down. Maybe bending the elbow, drawing down. Just trying to find that sweet spot where there isn't so much tension, but you're also feeling that support and you've got a little bit of resistance as well. Up at the top, same thing again on that other side, just drawing round, sliding side ribs to hips. So I'm just doing movements that I can feel my shoulder blades start to work in. I can take the band over my head, rotate through the trunk, and I'm feeling that my shoulders have to activate in order for me to work through the trunk. But it's a very freeing movement. And then you maybe start to feel that you're finding these wee bits of tensions in the body, so you need to get nice rolls for the shoulder as well. Just small rolls. Some things that you can do on the floor to help ease the burdens of maybe working at an office chair, or if you've maybe overdone it, is one that comes from the yoga world that I quite like as well, and it's really nice for the shoulders, is that you come onto all fours. So you're on all fours here, and then what you do is you're going to turn your middle fingers in to meet one another, and then you can just take a wee roll around. And this is nice through the shoulder complex. Just rolling 2 or 3 times, 4 times, and round the other way. Shoulders feeling nice and get a nice release. And then what we can do is you would Google thread the needle. When we're going for thread the needle, you could start to move the shoulder. Then you just take in, it doesn't need to, you're not looking for distance, you're not looking to force up, because if you've got that limited range of movement, what you're trying to do is to release. But if you're trying to force that range of movement by doing something like this, then you're only going to make matters worse. So what you want to do here is to, just move the shoulder up. And you're going to get to a wee point where you maybe want one shoulder stacked on the other, so you've just got like a straight line. So you don't want to overextend the arm, because then you're going to pull on your lower back and you're going to have more problems, aren't you? So you're on all fours, and I'm just going to show you this angle so you can see it. But you would do a few stretches, and then what you do is you're just going to thread the needle, and if you're able, just lay your temple down on the mat. And have a wee stretch through here like this. And that's really quite nice. And then you would just repeat that on the other side. These are exercises that you can do just to floss and cleanse the shoulder, to retract it back, to feel that it's moving back into position. Just giving up a nice wee self-care package for the shoulder. There's loads of things that you can do to help the shoulders. It doesn't have to be lifting loads of different weights, which is great as well, because it really does strengthen. But time and time again, I see in the class people really struggling with a range of movement in terms of picking up weights that are just far too heavy. They maybe go for something like this and they're trying to, that's just putting my little muscles, the little shoulder cuff muscles, under so much intense pressure. I wouldn't use something like that. If I'm using anything, it's, it could be nothing. So your rotator raise, so I'm just lifting up, just feeling that opening through the chest and back. So I'm getting my arm up in line or just below my shoulder, so it's coming up and round. Just things like this, but just to help release off your shoulder after a hard day at work. It doesn't need to be anything spectacular, but rotator cuff related shoulder pain really can be a thing that, due to declining estrogen, that you will find that you'll get from time to time. Your shoulders might be a wee bit stiffer, you might have a limited range of movement, you might have a frozen shoulder mat. And anybody that's had a rotator cuff rear, it's a rotator cuff tear even, wow, very painful, isn't it? You can't even get your bra strap. So it's really important to look after your shoulders because I see they are like a marching band. You want them all to work nicely together. Even if you have got some bits, that maybe don't work quite as well, I have a wee bit of scar tissue at the rhomboid, so that can affect my range of movement, but then don't start trying to do crazy things that are going to affect it. So always try and keep it nice and strong, because I was told years and years ago by an orthopedic surgeon that he couldn't fix it, and it's the only thing we could do for that to keep its range of movement and its strength was to train it, mobilise it, massage it, take care of your shoulders. And it can affect us also as we are getting older, and we are getting these aches and pains about declining estrogen levels. When we start to look after our joints, especially around about the shoulder complex where we see so many impediments. So hopefully you'll find that quite useful today, and maybe try some of those exercises, like save the video and come back to it. Just 4 or 5 reps on each side. This is called a TheraBand. You can find it everywhere. It's nice. You can sometimes get it at the physios, but you can buy it online. TheraBand, really, really good, really useful piece of equipment because you get support and resistance at the same time. You might find that just eases the shoulders back. Self-care for the shoulders. That's what I call it. All right, useful. I hope so.